Today, in less than an hour, one of the biggest open weight AI models on the planet is set to be free for download. And for the last couple of years, if you wanted to use the best AI model on the planet, you basically went to OpenAI or Google or Microsoft or Anthropic and paid them about $20 a month, and you were able to get the best technology that there was to offer. And it worked. I did the same thing every single day. But Kimi K3 changes that, because this isn't going to just be a standard new app launch. This is going to be the release of the actual model. And there's one reason that matters. Even if you never download it, never buy a GPU, and never stop paying for ChatGPT. And that reason is flying completely beneath the 2.8 trillion parameter headline. So in this video, I'm going to show you what Kimi K3 actually changes, the number almost everybody is skipping, and how to decide if any of this is going to be useful for you. Okay, so this is the official Kimi K3 page on Hugging Face right now. It's set to launch in about 24 minutes. Quick context about me, because it matters for how I'm looking at this. I've spent almost a decade on the Copilot and M365 product team, and I've helped some of the biggest companies in the world try to get real value from AI. I have also used basically every single AI tool that I can get my hands on, so I'm not looking at this as an open versus closed scenario or a good versus bad scenario. I'm looking at this as, what does this actually let a person or a company do that they could not do before? Kimi K3 was announced on July 16th, and today, Moonshot says the full model weights are supposed to become downloadable. And that is a very different event from just launching another chatbot or an app. So here's the one idea that you will actually need for this entire video. Every normal AI tool you use, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, and Gemini, you don't own any of it. You are renting it. It's like an apartment. Everything is going to work for you right out of the box, but you're not going to maintain the actual building. You're not going to fix the plumbing. You're just going to show up and use it. But the landlord is the one that sets the rent, and the landlord can change the locks at any time. I touched on this on a previous video. Open-weight AI is more like owning your entire garage. It's a little bit messier, but you get to have the ability to set things up totally yourself, but you're also responsible for what happens inside of it. If something breaks, you can't just rely on somebody to fix it for you. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not open good versus closed bad. Once again, for everyday work, renting stuff is going to be genuinely easier. I'm literally telling you that I use these tools every single day. I use Codex, I use Claude Code, I use Copilot, and I use GitHub Copilot CLI. I love the AI apartments that exist, but the real question is control. Who controls the thing that more and more of your work is being built on top of? And this is where Kimi K3 gets interesting, because Moonshot describes this as a $2.8 trillion parameter model, and that number is very, very big. But it also tells you almost nothing about how useful this is going to be for you. It doesn't tell you whether the model is accurate for a task. The parameters doesn't tell you how long the answer takes. It doesn't tell you what the answer actually costs. And it definitely doesn't tell you whether running it yourself is going to make any business sense, right? So instead of just repeating the launch page, I went looking for a harder test. Artificial Analysis tested Kimi K3 on knowledge work tasks, things like spreadsheets and presentations, interfaces, and all that good stuff. Kimi finished second. And that is the headline that you're going to see everywhere. But I want you to look at the rest of the test. See, because in that specific benchmark setup, Kimi averaged 56.4 minutes per task and $10.57 per task. And that doesn't mean that every Kimi prompt takes an hour or costs $10. It means this one very impressive leaderboard result came with a cost and a weight that the leader position does not show you. And I think that's the part that the world is not ready for. The smartest model is not automatically the best model for your workflow. If I'm making a thumbnail and it takes an hour, it's going to be ridiculous. If you're trying to review a small document of 10 pages, that's going to be ridiculous. But for a legal team that's reviewing thousands of documents, it might have taken them weeks to do. An hour or even half a day might actually be completely fine. Same model, completely different answer. Okay, so let's make this real. Say you're a creator. You probably want speed, a predictable bill, and something that works without hiring an infrastructure team. Owning the model weights sound cool, but it almost provides no value to you, genuinely. Now, say you're a startup. You may not want to host Kimi either, but the reality is, and Microsoft as a non-startup took this approach, not being constrained to any specific model provider is going to give you leverage so that one outage doesn't kill your entire product, right? And then one price increase doesn't force you to rebuild everything around a new stack or a new system or a new model. Now, so let's say hypothetically you're in a regulated company, and you care about where the data goes. You care about testing the exact model version, and you care about deciding when that model changes. For you, downloadable weights honestly could matter a lot. But let's be honest, And I'll keep it a buck with you. Downloadable is not the same thing as secure. It's not a compliance certificate. It's not like cheap or anything like that. If anything, it can make things a little bit more difficult when it comes to the actual operating plan. The better question is not going to be, is Kimi going to beat Claude or is Kimi going to beat ChatGPT? The better question is, what problem does Kimi solve that my current setup does not? And if you can't answer that in one sentence, there's probably no need for you to switch. And if your answer is because it's open, that's not an answer. Open is just a property. It's not actually the outcome. So I built you a simple test for this. OPE. I call it the open test. This is my framework, and it's not Moonshot's language. O is ownership. Do you genuinely need the weights? Do you need to control the exact version, adapt it, inspect it, or have a way out if your provider changes the deal? If your goal is better emails or faster research, the answer is probably not going to be that you need to do open. E is economics. Don't just compare price per token, compare price per successful task, and then add the model fee, the infrastructure, the engineering time, and all the human correction work that you'll need. And then just divide it by the results that you're actually going to use. Because a cheap token can become a very expensive answer when a model is using way more tokens or taking more turns or needs more cleanup on the back end. And N is necessary capability. What exact task requires you to use an open source model? Which repository is it? Which issue? If you're doing more of a creator scenario, the test might be something pretty small, right? Hey, these are the 5 different channels I'm looking at, and I want you to see if I can compete with them. That's pretty high level. For a business, you might need it to clean up a spreadsheet, preserve some zeros, et cetera, and do it for a really quick, a really cheap cost and do it really quickly. And then for a developer, you might have 10 issues in a real code base that are all related to different things, and you want to run your test and see if it comes out. Measure it. The correction time, the total cost, the worst failure, measure all of those things. It will give you a very good understanding of if an open weight model can do the job that you need it to do. It's likely that it can, and that's why this news is becoming so big. So if Kimi wins, use it. If Claude wins, use Claude. If a smaller model wins, use the smaller model. That is a much less exciting answer than this is an AI war, but it's literally the truth. You will have to figure out what is the right tool for the job. Many companies are spending hundreds, if not thousands, of engineering cycles on that exact question. So what does a downloadable model this large actually give to most people? It is not free intelligence. It is not a data center on your laptop, and it is optionality. For researchers, that can mean inspection and experimentation. For infrastructure teams, it can mean they can control everything they need. And for startups, it can mean that they can have a little bit more competition and a little bit less lock-in amongst the model providers. For most normal people, the first benefit may be simply that the model is available for them and it provides a little bit more pressure on every other AI company to reduce prices. I'm cool with that. That is still a very big deal, but it is not that a 2.8 trillion parameter model did anything. So before you download Kimi or dismiss Kimi or rebuild anything around it, run the open test. Ownership, providers, economics, and the necessary capability. Then make the boring decision that the evidence is supporting. And here is what I want to know from all of you. And I read every single one of these. Give me one real workflow that you want me to test. Not coding, an actual deliverable. Once the weights and the provider stabilize, I'll take the best one and run a fully side-by-side test so that you all can see the results. If you like this kind of breakdown where we go past the headline and try to figure out what this stuff actually means for your work, please don't hesitate to subscribe. This is Wadood AI, and I appreciate all of you taking the time to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.